The amber light of the hallway reflected on the Persian rug, creating dancing patterns of light and shadow. Clara had just returned from a conference in Madrid, her legs aching after the long train ride. She gently turned the doorknob without making a sound, hoping to surprise her husband. But she was the one who received the surprise. Soft, melodious music drifted from the living room. The designer floor lamp cast a warm glow over the familiar space, but the scene before her left Clara frozen. On the brown leather sofa, where she and her husband had once cuddled, two bodies were now entwined. The woman's back was turned to Clara, but that long, flowing blonde hair was unmistakable. Sophia, her colleague and best friend, tilted her head to receive Marcos's kiss. Rage flared in Clara's chest like fire, but her legs felt rooted to the ground. The words of love, the sweet promises Marcos had once whispered to her, now felt like sharp knives stabbing her heart. Memories of happiness shattered instantly, scattering like broken glass on the floor. She stared at Marcos's hand, his fingers gently caressing Sophia's hair, a gesture that had once belonged to her alone. Clara's blood ran cold. She took a deep breath, struggling to contain the storm of emotions inside. She did not scream. She did not cry. She simply stood there, silent, invisible, watching. Her gaze was sharp, assessing, devoid of pain or resentment. Only silence remained, a foreboding signal of the storm that was about to come. Perhaps sensing her presence, Marcos shivered slightly and looked up, his eyes locking onto Clara's icy stare. His face went pale, his mouth slightly open like a guilty man caught in the act. Sophia turned as well, her face filled with shock and fear. Neither spoke a word. Clara scanned the room, observing every detail as if collecting crucial evidence. Then, she let out a small, cold smile filled with hidden meaning. Moving gracefully to the nearby table, she picked up her car keys and met Marcos's eyes. "You go ahead," she said softly, her voice sharp as a blade. Before either of them could react, Clara turned and walked out of the room, leaving behind the suffocating atmosphere and the painful truth. The door slammed shut with a definitive click, echoing through the silent night like a declaration of war. The sound of the door slamming still rang in Clara's mind, but she refused to let pain or anger consume her. She brushed them aside. There was no time to mourn a relationship that had already died. Her purpose was now clear revenge. In her car, her hands gripped the steering wheel, her eyes fixed ahead. No tears. No sobs. A chilling calm settled over her. Clara was not a broken woman, she was a warrior preparing for battle. She drove to a cafe she often visited when she needed to think. Sitting in a secluded corner, she ordered a latte and opened her laptop, not to check the news, but to begin a meticulous plan. A new Word document appeared on the screen. Revenge campaign. One by one, bullet points emerged, each a carefully calculated move. Step 1. Gather information. I don't trust only what I saw. I need solid proof. She began searching through social media posts, photos, and comments from Marcos and Sophia, leaving no detail unnoticed. Tiny fragments of information slowly pieced together a web of deception and hidden secrets. Memories surfaced. She and Sophia had once been inseparable, sharing joys, sorrows, and secrets. But that friend had betrayed her. A bitter taste filled Clara's mouth. But she quickly suppressed the emotion. She would not let feelings dictate her actions. She shifted her focus to Marcos's professional life. A successful architect with a strong reputation. He had much to lose. To destroy him, she needed to strike where it hurt the most. She investigated his associates, colleagues, and even his family, analyzing every connection for potential leverage. After hours of research, a detailed plan had taken shape. Clara smirked, a cold, knowing smile. She had gathered the weapons she needed. Closing her laptop, she finished her coffee, stood up, and left the cafe. The sun was rising, casting golden light across the city, but Clara's heart remained steeled in darkness. She knew the path ahead wouldn't be easy, but she was ready. As she reached the door, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "I can help you get revenge." Clara stared at the screen, her eyes glinting with an eerie light. She had no idea who had sent the message, but she knew this could either be an opportunity or a trap. Either way, she wasn't going to back down. The secret meeting took place in a hidden tea house tucked away in the alleys of Lavapiés. Clara had no clue who had contacted her, but an air of mystery and danger surrounded the person waiting for her. The man arrived 5 minutes late, exuding an air of impatience and scrutiny. Introducing himself only as Adrian, he offered no further details about his identity or motives. Clara didn't ask. She knew she had no right to demand. "I know you want revenge," Adrian said in a quiet, emotionless tone. "I can help you, but I have conditions." Clara remained silent, watching him closely. He knew he was stepping into a dangerous game, but he had no other choice. Adrian handed Clara a USB drive containing the information she needed about Marcos's shady business dealings. He also showed her how to secretly approach Sofia and plant seeds of doubt in their relationship. "Never trust anyone," Adrian said before standing up to leave. "Not even me." Clara watched his figure disappear, an uneasy feeling creeping over her. She didn't know if she could trust him, but she had no other option. She went home, unable to sleep, but determined to continue her plan. She approached Sofia with a calm and composed demeanor, as if nothing had happened. Pretending to still be a close friend, she shared daily stories and small confidences. Sofia seemed suspicious, but had no way of knowing what was truly on Clara's mind. Like a lion playing with its prey, Clara skillfully shifted her attitude, sometimes affectionate, sometimes distant, sometimes mysterious, leaving Sofia unable to predict her next move. At the same time, Clara did not forget her primary target. Using the information Adrian had provided, she began pressuring Marcos. Anonymous messages, secret calls, and spreading rumors slowly infiltrated Marcos's workplace, leaving him restless and confused. Marcos started to suspect Clara. He knew she was no longer the naive wife she once was, but he had no idea what she knew or what she planned to do next. The tension at home grew unbearable. They no longer shared a bed, and their conversations became distant and cold. One night, while Marcos was working in his studio, Clara suddenly walked in, holding a phone in her hand and wearing a mysterious smile. "Do you want to see something interesting?" she asked, her voice soft but devoid of warmth. Marcos eyed her warily. He didn't know what she was planning, but he knew it wouldn't be good. Clara pressed play on the phone screen, showing a short video, footage of Marcos kissing Sofia in her apartment. Marcos's face turned ghostly pale. Sweat formed on his forehead as the weight of the revelation sank in. He knew this video had the power to ruin him. Sofia's expression mirrored his, shock, fear, and shame all mixed into one. She tried to explain, but her words fell flat against the undeniable truth playing before them. This isn't what it looks like," Marcos stammered, his voice trembling. You misunderstood. Sofia and I were just..." Clara let out a cold, mocking laugh. "Don't bother explaining," she said. "I saw everything." Silence engulfed the room. Marcos looked at Clara, his eyes filled with desperation. He knew it was over. Clara said nothing more. She simply turned on her heels and walked away, leaving Marcos frozen in panic and fear. He knew this was only the beginning of his troubles. The anonymous messages continued. Marcos's business associates and colleagues began receiving information about his illegal dealings. Rumors spread rapidly through the company, tarnishing his reputation. He tried to defend himself, but no one believed him. People started distancing themselves, contracts were canceled, and projects were put on hold. His once flourishing career began to crumble. Meanwhile, Clara kept her eyes on Sofia, knowing she wouldn't escape her fate either. Anonymous messages found their way to Sophia, exposing details about her affair with Marcos, details she had desperately tried to keep hidden. Panic took hold of her. She started questioning Marcos about what was happening. Marcos denied everything, but Sophia no longer trusted him. Their fights escalated, turning into bitter arguments until their relationship finally fell apart. But Sophia wasn't one to surrender easily. Suspicion grew in her mind. She began recalling Clara's cryptic words and strange behavior. Then, a painful realization struck her. With rage coursing through her veins, she called Clara. Her voice shook with fury. It was you, wasn't it? You did all of this. Clara didn't deny it. She met the accusation head-on. Yes, Clara said simply. I wanted you to understand the price of betrayal. Sophia was furious. She vowed to get revenge. But she knew she couldn't take Clara down alone. She needed an ally. Then, something unexpected happened. A severe car accident. Marcos and Sophia were involved. Both suffered serious injuries and were rushed to the hospital. When Clara received the news, a mixture of emotions surged within her. There was satisfaction. Seeing her enemies in pain felt like justice. But at the same time, an unsettling unease crept in. She knew it wasn't over. The consequences of her actions were only beginning. The hospital reeked of antiseptic, the sharp scent stinging Clara's nose as she stood outside. Hospital room. Looking through the glass, Marcos and Sophia lay motionless on the bed with their wounds bandaged. A mixed feeling welled up in his heart. The initial satisfaction slowly gave way to an indescribable emptiness. He had taken revenge on the traitors. He had paid the price. But why didn't she feel happy or even a little happy? These past days, Clara had lived in hatred, anger, and determination. Vars had acted like a robot, not letting her emotions control her. But now that everything was done, he began to face the consequences of his actions. He couldn't deny Marcos and Sophia's suffering, even if they deserved it. He saw the despair in Marcos's eyes, the fear on Sophia's face. And he began to feel a little cruel. Memories of happy moments in the past came rushing back to her, between her and Marcos, the fun afternoons with friends, the sweet promises. She wondered if those memories were really false or just part of the untold story. She remembered Adrian's words, "Never trust anyone, not even me." She also started to doubt Adrian's motives. Did he really want to help her, or did he just want to use her for some purpose? She felt that she was crossing the line and that maybe she was not only hurting others, but also hurting herself. She had let hatred and revenge cloud her mind, and now she had to face a painful truth. She went to a cafe near the hospital, ordered a cup of hot tea, and looked out at the bustling street. She felt like a stranger lost in her own life. She opened her laptop and reviewed the information she had collected: anonymous messages, secret calls, gossip. She wondered if it was really worth it. She remembered all the promises Marcos had made, the promises he had not kept. But she also wondered if she was really perfect. Had she ever made a mistake? A feeling of regret and guilt was growing in her heart. She had been a happy woman, had a family, had friends, but now she had destroyed them all just for revenge. She closed her laptop and made a decision. She didn't know what she would do next, but she knew she couldn't continue on that path for long. She got up, paid, and left the cafe. She knew that the path ahead wouldn't be easy, but she wouldn't turn back. She needed to face herself and make an important decision. Clara decided not to visit Marcos and Sophia at the hospital. She knew that her presence wouldn't help and would even make things worse. Instead, she decided to face herself and find another way. She went to see Adrian, not to continue her plan for revenge, but to end everything. "Why are you helping me?" Clara asked, her eyes fixed on Adrian. "What do you want from me?" Adrian was silent for a moment and then replied, "I just want revenge on one person, and he is Marcos's relative." Clara was shocked. She had not known anything about this. Adrian then told Clara a story of betrayal, deception, and cruelty. He had been deeply hurt by someone he once trusted and wanted revenge. Clara began to understand that she was not the only one who had been hurt and that she was not the only one who wanted revenge. She looked at Adrian with a hint of sympathy. "Burning in my heart, I will not continue with my plan for revenge," Clara said firmly. "I do not want to become a cruel person like her." Clara left Adrian with a feeling of relief in her heart. She knew she had made the right decision. She went to see a lawyer and filed for divorce from Marcos. She didn't ask for anything. She just wanted to end things quickly. Then, she went to see Sophia, not for revenge, but for an apology. She apologized for hurting Sophia, even though Sophia had betrayed her. Sophia was surprised. She hadn't expected Clara to forgive her. She didn't know what to say, and in the end, she begged for forgiveness. Clara decided to leave the city and start a new life. She didn't know what the future would bring, but she knew she would never forget what had happened. She went to a quiet place in the countryside, opened a small cafe, and started writing stories. She wanted to tell stories of betrayal, forgiveness, and rebirth. One day, a man came. He had sad eyes and a sweet smile. He introduced himself as a writer and wanted to write a story about forgiveness. Clara smiled. She knew that perhaps she had found someone who could understand what she had been through. She gave him a cup of coffee and began to tell him her story. When the story ended, a surprising truth was revealed. The man was Marcos. He had changed and wanted a chance to start over. Clara looked at Marcos with mixed emotions welling up inside her. She didn't know if she should believe him, but she couldn't deny the sympathy she had for him. She smiled a gentle and hopeful smile. "Perhaps," she said, "maybe we could start over."